Okay, good afternoon everybody. Thank you so much for gathering today for this conversation with Mr. Bill Gates, the founder and chair of the Gates Foundation. Rather than doing introductions, because we're running a few minutes behind, I suggest that I hand the floor over to Mr. Gates to say a few introductory words about the Gates Foundation and his visit to Korea, and then we'll open it up to questions and I'll chair those questions. Please feel free, obviously, to speak both in English or in Korean. Thank you, Mr. Gates.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for being here. The Gates Foundation got started in the year 2000, and at that time we picked global health as one of our main activities, and it's actually grown to be over 70% of what we do. And it's been successful well beyond any expectation we might have had. We, as a partner in the global health endeavor, have managed to take key metrics like the number of children who die under the age of 5 and reduce those things, cut them in half. So it was over 10 million before the turn of the century, and now well under 5 million. And, that took a lot of innovation, a lot of, generosity from donor governments. Vaccines played the largest role in that reduction. And now we committed as part of the 25th anniversary that we're going to take all of the resources that I and the foundation have and spend those over the next 20 years. And that's based on a belief that we can both reduce the disease burden from these the areas we work on by over 80%, in some cases like malaria, even 100%. And that by improving the health of these countries and supporting them in other ways, that almost all of them during the 20-year period will be able to become stronger economies and graduate to self-sufficiency in the same way that countries like India, Vietnam, and Indonesia have during the last 25 years. Which has allowed groups like Gavi to focus their resources on helping the kids in the rest of the countries. We have a lot of challenges to meet our goals, but despite those, we feel we can get down to below 2 million deaths per year. The challenges include that the countries we work in have very high population growth. A higher percentage of the babies will be born in the poorest countries, and the majority actually in Africa during this time period. And we have some challenges in terms of aid budgets, trying to make sure that they continue to stay strong. But on the other side, this is a incredibly moral cause. The cost of doing this is very modest compared to the impact that it has. And for the rich countries, this work, by building functional health systems in all countries, means that the risk of a pandemic is greatly reduced, because you would see the pandemic early and be able to, in many cases, stop it before it goes global. So in this quest, there's two ways that we have a strong partnership with South Korea. One is that the South Korea bioscience area has grown in its size and innovation pretty dramatically. And so going back to early in the foundation, the Gates Foundation funded the International Vaccine Initiative, which the South Korean government has been by far the biggest supporter of, and they've done some great work. We've actually funded a bit over $400 million of bioscience work here in Korea. So people like SD Biosensor, U Biologics that does cholera vaccine, SK Biologicals, LG's vaccine business, some very interesting science projects that we do with Samsung. So huge variety of things, and as part of this visit, we're updating ourselves on all the great research going on. Groups like Gavi and Global Fund actually buy a lot more product from Korea than the total donations. So it's the only rich country where that's the case, which is just another benefit to South Korea. Finally, South Korea is, as a rich country, is a donor to these efforts, and we've challenged the government a little bit to go back and look at their ODA spending. ODA spending is a bit less than 0.3% of GDP, and hopefully that will grow over time. The aspirational level for rich countries is 0.7%, which only a few countries exceed that, and a number of countries reach that. But Europe as a whole would be at 0.4%. One of the things we're raising is that in terms of high impact ODA, that by far the best is the global health multilaterals, and multilaterals are very efficient and well measured. And so our proposal is that as this government makes a new ODA strategy, that the health multilaterals could grow to be as much as 15% of that, and draw South Korea into a much stronger role in terms of the governance and contributions. So, it's exciting to be here and see the progress, meet with the partners. I'll do a little bit of non-foundation work. The climate and energy work I do includes a nuclear fission company called TerraPower that has a strong partnership with SK and HD Hyundai, and I created that so that we could have cheap green electricity, which is even more in demand now for AI applications. So I'll meet with those partners and talk about how we carried that forward and how South Korea can be a very critical partner in that work as well. So it'll be a great set of meetings.